Hey there, my name is Pravus and welcome to more Kingdoms Reborn, playing as the Emirates. In the last video, we actually expanded a lot. We made up a ton of ground from where I have been going super slow and stupid up to this point. So huge new neighborhoods have been built up, we're producing lots more science, lots more money, and perhaps most importantly, lots more luxuries, which is resulting in us being a net exporter in a lot of ways, importing a lot of the dumb goods that we don't want to have to produce ourselves, and instead going for raw value. Coins produced per laborer is the name of the game, and luxuries are, it so happens, pretty much the best way to go. We are actually going to start importing some other tier 1 luxuries, the ones that I'm not currently producing, namely cannabis and beer, which will cost me some money because obviously people are going to consume those pretty quickly. But the idea is to just go ahead and help us level up our houses a bit more to get even more science and gold, and also we're going to be starting to move over toward tailoring as my next major I guess manufacturing venture, I guess is the way you call it. I don't know. I'm kind of really investing heavily in the luxury trade here. Lots of means of production being built up right about now. But these should be pretty good. So let's go ahead and upgrade all these. I do need to get some more weaving machines. But if we can turn all of this wool into clothes, I might leave one of these guys on leather. How much leather we have? A fair bit. We're not producing a massive amount, but even just one of these tailors being used upon leather means I don't have to sell these goods. We can do something else. The problem is I currently have 7,000 wool. Oh my god. So, yeah, we need a lot more tailors. So that's 4 that I've got right now, so we have a slightly better tailor town. If I want to get maximum value, we need to build 4 more of these things and continue importing as much as we can as far as the wool is concerned. In the last video, we also built a policy office, which I am now convinced is one of the most overpowered buildings in the game. If you have massive amounts of influence, which, newsflash, we do because we've been going on conquest sprees, you can just basically improve your city by a lot. We've already gotten up to about 33% extra production for everything, not to mention we have completely eliminated all trading fees for a good long while. So, yeah, I'm making ridiculous amounts of money over there. That's, pretty good. And my people are really happy. Wish I had gone for rationalism now so that I could have gotten true value out of all that. We would have gotten a lot more science, but oh well. It's fine. Gosh, why doesn't that thing actually ever go away? Don't show this thing again! Shows it again anyway the next time you load the game. It's just how it always works. It's crazy. We're starting to make some excess food, which is nice. Now, I am buying some of it. That's part of the reason we're getting on top of this. But that's important because by buying some extra, let's say, beef and such, what we're doing is encouraging people not to eat the wheat so we can process the wheat and turn that into pitas, hence why I'm now sitting on 1,200 wheat flour. So right now I have 3 pita bakeries. I'm probably going to need to get a 4th in order to make sure that we are getting more value out of this. The reason the pita bakeries aren't doing more is simply because their work speed is a little on the slow side. But alas, I don't think I really have a good way of boosting that. So yeah, we're gonna have to live. I am finally starting to burn through all of my wood, and I mean that literally because we switched all the pita bakeries over to being wood-fired, so I'd stop using up all of my coal for at least a little while. We can chop down some extra trees, gather up some more wood whenever we do find ourselves with some extra laborers, especially during the winter time when there's nothing to farm. That's all well and good. We have an army we should probably make use of, and since I now actually have use for my influence, I think it'd probably be worth trying to conquer some more of these little city-states over here and just kind of farm out a bit more. So let's start with these guys over here at Tortebec. I am curious what kind of units they might be bringing out at level 9. I imagine this is going to end up being expensive, but guess how much freaking money I've got? Answer, a lot. So let's go ahead and toss all this out. Oh, right, the mosque. I forgot about that. That's a good use of lots of money. Anyway, let's go ahead and toss all this out, blah, blah, blah. Let's start with this. 27 militia. That's all you've got, though? No special units. I think that city-states only ever are going to use militia. We can bring the galleys in for once, which is going to let us bring in a lot of extra damage, but obviously my swordsmen are going to die fast, simply because when you have that many militia all attacking you, oof, they do lots of damage. Lots of damage indeed. So we're just going to go ahead and keep training up more units. I probably should consider researching how to get musketeers and maybe even military engineers at some point pretty soon. And we'll just keep going on conquest sprees so long as I have the units to do it. Okay, we have access to the musketeers. Could get some cannons. Ignore wall defenses. I'm pretty sure all that this really means is that walls have let's say, armor, effectively, that reduces the amount of damage that they can do, or that they take, and cannons have a way of getting around that, so they're pretty good at knocking down walls. Frigates, yeah, I could do that. Resource outposts we had talked about before. This takes 10,000 influence in order to place, but would allow foreign provinces to start extracting resources for me. Chocolate Snob, no. Desert Pilgrim would actually be worth a fair bit of money. I'm kind of tempted to go for some of that. Yeah, let's go ahead and learn about Desert Pilgrim. Get that going fairly early on. We could go for some motivation cards and then eventually passion cards. Not too worried about most of that. Pumpkin seeds. Yeah, not a lot that we would really benefit from over here at the moment, actually. What kind of tech are we looking at? The Scholar's Office is still an option. Until we research a few more of these basic ones, though, like the gold smelting or quick build or something like that, we can't move on. I probably should get something like Stone Road. 30% more movement speed is universally going to be a pretty valuable thing for me, so I think that would be worthwhile. Oh, anyway, the thing that I was gonna say is I actually don't think that we need to import any cannabis or beer, as fun as it sounds. Reason being, I'm pretty sure you actually only need 3 luxuries of a tier to maximize your value of a house. So, for example, the first 3 levels of a house, or up to level like 4 or something like that, is going to come from getting these 3 levels. I don't think getting any cannabis or beer helps me get beyond level 5 at this point. What we need are more luxuries of tier 2. We have a bunch of different options there. Wine, candles, vodka, spices, magic mushrooms. Are those new? Pretty sure they are. Coffee, glassware, carpets. So we know how to make carpets, I think, but that's going to require dyes. We could alternatively move toward coffee and extract some over in this direction. So we have options. Move south, gather dyes. Move up here, gather coffee. Maybe even both. I think since we've already been moving in this general direction, we can go ahead and keep pushing to the south, and we're going to start creating a large segment of dye farming, shipping, of course, all of this back up over here so that we will be able to make a whole mess of carpets. Remind me where carpets come from, though? The carpet trade. That comes from a carpet weaver. Ah, there it is. Okay. And then carpet having a 0% trading fee is absolutely useless to me, but we do need to get it in order to go for coffee roasting, so, I mean, if we want to go for coffee, that's going to be a thing. Yes, a lot of people are leaving my homes because they're homeless. I'm sorry I can't build my homes fast enough. Gosh, do you not understand that it is like a buyer's market right now? For God's sake. And ironically, actually, it is an extremely hot housing market where I live, like in a lot of Northern America right now. Canada in particular has been having some trouble around the cities. It's fun times trying to buy a home. All I can say is I am really glad that I bought a house when I did before the interest rates jumped up. But that is complete digression from the content of this video, so we'll just go ahead and put that aside and move on. Okay, so we've already got the Desert Pilgrim cards. I've decided to pull off the Companies Act because I don't think we benefit from that right now. We've already got so many eliminations to our fee over here thanks to our policy office that it wasn't getting us any value. So we might as well get rid of that and place this instead in the Town Hall. I was making 4,300 gold. We get another 300 or so just from this card. Nothing outrageously good, but certainly nothing to sneeze at either. All right, we have access to stone roads. That'll certainly help. All right, we can move on to Logistics 5, which doubles the hauling capacity of all citizens. It doesn't even say it has to be people working in the logistics office. That's just in general. So people can take a lot more from point A to point B, which means less trips from point A to point B. That's always a good thing. Now, here's an interesting option for us. We could go for colonization. We've seen this before. This would allow me to establish new colonies all over the world, even in areas that I don't currently control. Pretty helpful if you are looking to extract some sort of a resource and send it back to the capital. For example, gemstones or gold, or maybe we haven't got a source of iron, or perhaps we would like to get cannabis or something else that we have otherwise not been able to get. I'm going to go for the resource outpost first anyway. It's going to cost me a lot of science to get this, but colonization wouldn't be a terrible idea. Now, what would we do with it really? Well, we could set up in places with, for example, grapes, right? Farm out loads of grapes, send those back to the capital, and start producing wine, though we do have some under control over here already. Lots of gold and coal and iron up over here, so that's not a terrible idea. Tons of cocoa, as well as cannabis and stuff over here. Yeah, we could set up a colony in that direction. That could be pretty good. Basically, any luxury resources you might want to work with that are not within 7 tiles of your original capital is gonna have to come down to colonization. It's a very powerful tool, but it does require a lot more micromanagement. You know, I completely forgot that we were attacking another city-state down over here. That's pretty funny. Almost every single one of my units died. But we're barely going to win anyway, because 2 archers should be able to beat out 1 militia even with their extremely low health in comparison. That's fine. Who wanted to pay the upkeep for all those soldiers anyway? Besides, I'm about to conquer the entirety of this continent, right? So, like, I don't know. Is anyone actually going to ever attack me? I think it's extremely unlikely, so I feel okay with just sending all of them to their deaths. Okay, took a little while, but we did research the resource outpost. So we're gonna go ahead and buy one of those out. So 10,000 influence, huh? Do we want to start extracting, let's say, some iron ore? Would I be able to do something over here? Kind of curious. Any of these guys are technically my vassals. I mean, what do you guys produce? Nothing in particular. Just checking to see if there's like an obviously better option here. You guys produce cocoa. So if I were to extract cocoa over here... Oh, it must be built on a province without any owner. Oh, really? Because I thought the entire idea of this... Hold the phone. Did I just misunderstand how this works? When I saw a foreign province, I guess I sort of mistakenly assumed it would have to do with like a foreign nation. What they mean is literally any province that is outside of my direct control. Okay. That's a little less exciting, I'm not gonna lie. Well, tell you what if I set one up over here? Right, we could still extract some iron. This would get me 104 iron ore per round. And it places immediately, but it costs me not only 10,000 influence up front, but 150 to keep it going. So pretty expensive from an upkeep perspective. On the other hand, without really having to worry about anything, I'm now able to produce 104 per round. My question is now also, why would I want to set up a trade route? Would that make much of a difference? I don't know. Well, we'll see if that iron ore starts going into my coffers. If it does, then we need to expand out into a new industry and start smelting that into iron bars, and maybe finally start producing my own iron tools, rather than these terrible stone tools that we have been using up to this point. Maybe, I don't know. In the meantime, down here at the south, we have set up some dye farms, so once spring rolls around, we'll get a fair bit going on that. So we'll have up to 6 people working here, hence why I had to place down some extra housing. We do have a logistics office specifically designed to deliver the dyes back up over here. And of course, we have a granary to boost up all of these farms by a further 25%. So we'll see just how good some of this ends up being. I don't need to prioritize these items right now. They're fine as is. People should work them anyway. So that should be a lot of dye. I don't know if it's enough dye, but it is a lot of dye. The question now is, can I go ahead and start moving into the carpet industry? And I think the answer is yes, we should do that. I want to place it close to the tailors because I'm already setting up a lot of our wool storage in this area. So I don't see any reason not to go ahead and keep a similar industry right over here. People idolize me as God. Yeah, it seems appropriate. I feel like this channel has fallen a little off the bandwagon on the whole cult thing and praise Pravus, but y'all need to get back on that, I'm just saying. I don't feel praised very much these days. At least these guys know who their lord and master is. By the way, we're starting to encounter some actual lag. Performance is dropping pretty badly right now. And there we go, just like that, we are now producing the first round of beautiful Emirate carpets, currently taking 13 woolen dye to make 9 carpets. Can obviously improve that, but, you know, until we actually have the ability to make our own cards and our own books, that might be a little bit hard to pull off. Books are, very precious to me. Very precious resource. I feel like we're getting nowhere near enough. But, we'll fix that in due time. In the meantime, though, even with this somewhat suboptimal efficiency without any books boosting it up, I think this is still worth it. Let's see, 7 plus 9, so 16, 76. Oh my gosh, yeah. In theory, we're making a pretty massive profit coming out of this. Okay, carpets are great, I like them. Hey, our first house is level 6. I don't know which one did it, but good for you. Got some beautiful carpets. Ultimate decoration, of course it's level 6. Gonna set up another one of these outposts over here on the grapes, because sure enough, we are definitely getting in a bunch of free iron ore. I say free, I mean pretty low-cost iron ore. Labor-less iron ore, that's the way to go. So if we're producing like 728 per year all of a sudden, yeah, it is definitely time to start converting some of that into iron bars. But if we can get a pretty equivalent amount of grapes, that's yet another luxury resource that we can start to tap, you know? Get a whole bunch of those things set up. Honestly, we're making so much influence. I could place those all over the place. Heck, who needs to mine my own coal? We could just set this stuff up and have a whole bunch of outposts over here, and we'd be set on minerals for freaking life, dude. Yeah, that's a pretty powerful use of influence, too. I'm really glad that the developers thought of this. This is one of the things I was really worried about. You know, we were going to have issues where I would have ridiculous amounts of influence. I even said that. We have so much influence and nothing to spend it on. Turns out I was very wrong. We would have things to spend it on. In fact, I'm very glad to spend it. We're getting some incredible value out of some of these influence buildings. Going for military conquest just to get massive amounts of influence is totally freaking worth it. This is amazing. Oh, these level 6 buildings are starting to look pretty good. Look at these things. Fan-flip-tastic, and we're getting a lot of science out of some of these as well. 5470 over there, goodness. Yep. Lots of science starting to come in, so we're gonna be able to research things like the winery extremely quickly, no problem at all. Continuing to try to build out the housing so that we can get more and more population. We're up to 323, so our population has exploded over the last 2 videos. We actually can't quite keep up on food, so I'm having to import a fair bit in order to keep ourselves afloat. I'm not really opposed to that, though. Hey, look, like we're gonna have the same problem with grapes here, by the way. Grapes are gonna start getting consumed as food if we are not careful with that. Yeah, not thrilled, but really what else is there to do? Could go for some new crops, but like, why? Isn't it still better to import cheap food and just keep producing the best possible luxuries? The answer, I'm pretty sure, is yeah, it's totally worth it. And before we start ending things out with this video, we are building out the mosque. So this is going to be done in just a moment, and boom. So we're going to increase our score by a good amount. All right, so the wonder score is worth 126. Pretty sure only one has ever been built in the world, so that's me getting the first round of points there. And we can actually see our total score here so far. Population, which is just 1 point per person. Happiness, which is a modifier of that, I believe. Money, technology, and then, of course, our wonder score. So if we're going for the maximum possible score to say, hey, we totally beat the game, well, there you go. That's how it's going to be. The only thing I'm really worried about now is, like, just legitimately, the performance issues are starting to really pile up. If you go down to speed 3, like, everything seems to run really well now. But speed 4 is definitely a bit of a mess until you pause. I'll call that a little unfortunate, but hopefully it doesn't get much worse than this. But we should be prepared for that to be possible because, well, I expect to get my population at least 3 or 4 times this large before I end this particular series. We'll see, though. We will see. Lots more that we need to do. We need to start getting cotton going. We want to get the gemstones going. I need to get a whole new industry for coffee, for iron, and, yeah, just keep producing as many luxuries as possible. Start producing some of that wine. Everything's looking great. We are making ridiculous amounts of money, ridiculous amounts of influence. I literally don't think I can spend it fast enough at this point. We basically have won the game, but for all intents and purposes, let's keep playing and having fun. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If so, I would ask you to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time.